Well, there you go. Hey everybody, my name is Kalle Slaap and I'm a watchmaker in the Netherlands. And you're watching a pre-recorded session, recorded 24 hours before, because, well, not unfortunately, but I'm with my daughter Anna at the Iron Maiden concert here in the Netherlands in the Ziggo Dome. So please excuse me, but yeah, with my 15-year-old daughter going to Iron Maiden, that is something really nice. Tonight, Jaeger LeCoultre, LeCoultre. I'm really looking forward to this. It's really flat. It is quite heavy. Early 80s, solid gold, and I never done this movement before, so really curious what it looks like. The watch came in with a broken crystal, and as we know from the previous Rolex, we first have to check if it really runs very well. But and it didn't. So with the owner and a conversation, and we're going to do a full restoration on the movement as well. Again, but the movement was so thin, and as you probably know already, I don't do any work up front, so I don't know what to expect, but of course I had a look at the movement, and it was kind of intriguing. Automatic, 2 hands, and a date. A really low amplitude, so there must be something going on. Well, usually I say if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. But as it is a pre-recorded session, please leave comments at the end. So, case back, simple, 4 screws, and let me have a look on the inside. Is that one, that one should be okay. There we go. 18 karat gold. We are not the first watchmaker to enter. Oh wow. There is a lot of information. Is that... Do we have to read it like that? Is that saying LeCoultre? Does it say 01 and 806? Should be okay. Let's have a look at the movement. Because like I said, I'm really looking forward to this one. There it is. .900 series. Nice fine tuning, fine adjustment. Lovely capstone on the escape wheel. And a lovely different solution for the automatic winding module, making sure that the watch, you can only wind a watch one way. And the rotor automatic winding weight is moving both ways. And this is the best way of showing how it works in just about every watch. But this is so simplified. So here is the ball bearing with teeth on the outside, and that is driving that wheel, which is always turning. That is driving that wheel, and this is a bascule, and it goes. Now that wheel is driving the ratchet wheel, or the other side is driving the ratchet wheel. It is so simple, but lovely in its simplicity. And not just simple, reliable, because there are not many parts that can go wrong. It is really nice. This is a click there, and a click in a ruby. Already starting to really like this watch movement, and the watch as well. Dial feed screw. Again, I'm not familiar with this movement, so hey, what's this? Not sure yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And here again, a very light and flat ratchet wheel. I think there's a click spring here as well. Interesting. Yeah. Moving there to the side. Well, we'll have a look in a moment. Parts highly polished. Again, the shiny bits you see here, there and there, are the tips of the screw. Not the screw head, but the tip of a screw, beautifully rounded, highly polished. A joy to work on already. Well, it had a very low amplitude, and again, just a visual inspection. It seems like some dried up lubrication in there. Hey, there is lubrication in here. Do you see the bubble? Interesting. It seems like maybe no. We see in a moment, but it seems like it might be dry. I think it's a bubble with oil. Looking here, the shock system. Interesting. Well, we'll have a look. If you just joined, it's a pre-recorded session, so sorry I cannot be with you live tonight. Attending a Iron Maiden concert with my daughter. Really looking forward to that. There is the big LeCoultre. You can really see the thick ink. Lovely, 1980s. Let's remove the hands, and then the movement. We can turn over the movement, and with the movement screws, take it out. Ultra thin movement, so I use the extra thin levers. They are Bergeon, but we modify them to make them extra thin, and that is simply by polishing underneath. No hassle. So very simple adjustment, you can do it yourself. But really comes in handy, especially with chronographs, when the sub-second and the counter are really in a bit of a recess in the movement itself, of on the dial. Let's have a look. What this look like. Well, I don't think it's rust, but I don't think it should be there. Oh, here you can see the stofbuskroon. What is that in English? This is the crown, really worn. You see that? And this, it's got a spring action cylinder. So even if you pull it out, it doesn't work well like that, but because it's out of the case now. But that is closing the hole in from the watch case. Usually there's a tube. You can visualize it as a toilet paper roll, and the crown is sliding over it, and then there's a rubber seal either on the outside of the closet of the toilet paper roll or on the inside. Japanese is usually on the inside, but now there's no tube where the crown is sliding over, but here a spring action ring that even if you pull it out, you can try it. So there's the next. Oh, it comes out because of the missing watch case now, but you can see the action. See if we can source another crown, or maybe the owner would love to have it like this original. We'll be in contact. Okay, so that is the two case screws, and that is the only way to go. I'm talking about these. These are securing the movement in this movement ring. So there is one, and on the other side there is one. Yeah, there. And we have to do that before you can remove the dial, because here are the dial feed screws. They are perpendicular, so you cannot reach from that side because it is in a recess. So there's only one way, and luckily watchmaking is so logical that even I can do it. Because I apologize, I cannot be with you live tonight. I'll try to be live coming Thursday, so the day after tomorrow. Let's see. Am I going to remove the automatic winding module? I do it first. Remove the rotor. Very careful not to slide the movement. Well, remove it like this. With the winding stem removed first. What I always love here, flat screw head. Used to be beautiful. Try to make it beautiful again. Flat screw head, rounded screw head, and well, usually it's a sign that's got a different function. And again, I'm not too familiar with this movement, so it is new for me. Different type, of course. Look, if you operate the crown, so that must be the setting lever. Push it in. There we go. What is the... Well, not too much oil, not too much oil lubrication. Lovely. Not taking care because it's ultra thin. Even this is really heavy. Hey, do you see that? Rust particles. So we have to be aware of some sediment or rust. Some specks over there, some rust over there. Interesting. Well, now the very delicate dial. Let me see. There we are. I'll take the dial feed screw completely out. Otherwise, there are two ways about it. You leave them in the cleaning machine, but you have to tighten them, otherwise you lose them. And well, it doesn't get clean in there. So we like here in the workshop like to remove them completely, so it all gets clean. Oh, lovely dial. Beautiful. Well, what does this look like? Date ring. Here they used a screwdriver that was a bit too wide. You see that? So the diameter of the screwdriver was bigger than the screw. And then you scrape the sides, and it is brass, nickel coated brass, and then you scrape off the nickel. Here a very thin and elegant spring. Because it is a really flat movement. Here is the centering lever, you see that? The shark fin teeth, 31 of them of course, because it's a date ring. And here you can see this pin right in between the two fins. So it's moving upwards, and then bam! And then there it's centered. So that makes sure that the number is always visible through the dial. Here the hour wheel. There the cannon pinion can easily slide up and down, and it's of course being held back by this wheel. But the sliding upside down tells me that the cannon pinion, the friction for the cannon pinion, if you're interested in this, please have a look. I try to put it up here now at cannon pinion and the function of it. Without the friction and the sliding you cannot set your hands, because it's all gears, and if something doesn't give, the teeth will break. So there must be a friction somewhere. It all makes sense if you have a look at the video. So there's probably somewhere else where the friction of the cannon pinion comes from. And we see it easily on the side of the cannon pinion if there's a small indentation. Well, usually I start working from the other side because, well, of course there's an automatic winding system. But I would really like to secure this date ring so nothing can go wrong with it. So for this disassembly I start on this side, just because I feel like it and to be on the safe side. During assembly in a moment, the date ring is the final thing you assemble, because the movement itself must run perfectly, because setting the date is causing friction, energy. So the performance of the movement will go down for a moment when at 12 p.m. The movement is pushing the date ring to the next date. So if the movement isn't functioning perfectly with a proper amplitude, with the force that it takes, the energy that it takes from the movement to set the date, it will drop in amplitude because it's pushing against something else. With the dropping amplitude, the accuracy is going down the drain. So you want a high amplitude that if the movement takes more energy, the amplitude will stay high. If you're into this, please have a look at how a watch works on our YouTube channel Chronoglide, and then you see the importance of amplitude. That is the turning of the balance wheel in degrees. I'll show you in a moment. But first, secure the date ring. Well, first inspection. Again, this is the first time I do this movement, so on one hand it is nice and exciting. On the other hand, well, I have to figure out the logic anyway. I'm not Superman. But if you have a look at the date ring, you see the shark fin teeth. And here they are underneath that plate. So the plate is securing the date ring from moving upwards. And here the plate is covering the teeth. So if I remove this plate and that plate, then the date ring will come off. And here is the centering lever. So. And we are not going to use a screwdriver that is too wide, and we are not going to leave marks. That is so unnecessary. Well, we just said goodbye to Jürgen. A German friend has been here for 5 weeks. Apprenticeship. That is probably due to the moisture. Because this is oil where it shouldn't be. So yeah, Jürgen was here for 5 weeks. It's so much fun. Such a nice guy. Really talented. So he's going to be okay in the watchmaking world. Hey, this screw was really loose. As in, not fastened at all. Well, remove this plate. What will we find? Well, nothing too dramatic. There is an interesting there's the centering lever. I just confused this one with that one, but this is on a way lower level because this is the setting lever and this is the centering lever for the date. The amount of oil is, well, interesting to say the least. Another bascule here. Winding wheel, pinion, sliding pinion underneath. So that wheel is being used for setting the hands. And then this will move back and forth. Interesting construction. And again, it is such an incredibly thin movement from Jaeger LeCoultre. I am not 100% sure that... Oh, it is Jaeger LeCoultre. It's all original, of course, but they used other brands as well, but always top. Yeah, I'm quite sure. There is a notch there on the side. So is it worn? Interesting. Because there was no friction. Let's remove that one first. This might be tricky because this spring is pushing against it. It is an interesting construction. There we go. I just moved this one upwards. Hey, and oh, look at... Oh no, the yoke is on the other side, of course. But this bascule is being operated by the setting lever. That is cool. A tiny pinion. And then the sliding pinion and winding pinion stuck together. And now finally I can lift the date ring. Again, if you just joined a pre-recorded session 24 hours before you see this, it's a Monday evening at the moment. But I'm with my daughter Anna at the Iron Maiden concert here in the Netherlands. Oh, this was the centering lever for the date ring. Is that riveted? Might be. It is the pivot point, but is it riveted? Because, yeah, riveted in place, and that is being used quite often in ultra thin movements, because it saves the screw head. Interesting. And here, this plate, there's a minimal amount of screws, very efficient. Here just the one for the whole plate, and that is securing this spring underneath. See how that goes. And this spring is probably holding place here and is one with the movement, so probably cannot taken out. Again, first time I do this movement, even though we're professional watchmakers for 12 years now, 10 to 12 years. So first I'm going to remove this plate, see what the situation is with the spring underneath. This might be riveted on this pivot point. Is it? Ah, it's a hammer. Yeah. This wheel is driven by the cannon pinion that wheel, and that is, let's see what happens here. Yeah. So this wheel will revolve once every 24 hours. Like that, like that, like that. Or the other way around. Yeah. And then it's a sandwich, and you see in between the wheels here, there you see a finger, and there as well, and it will bring the hammer, move, 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 takes the hammer, use some pegwood so I don't make any scratches. The hammer is being moved by this wheel backwards, 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 and then suddenly it's released, and there you see this pin is then thumping the date to the next date, and that is a sign of, usually in movements of luxury, of high quality. If you see at 12 o'clock, if you're still awake, and if you're such a freak that you pay notice to it, but if you see the date ring very slowly being moved to the next position, low quality movement. But at exactly 12 o'clock the date is being pushed, and puff, instantaneously you see the next date. That is, again, for the freaks, a sign of high quality watchmaking. So that's a hammer driven, but it's like a roller coaster. For the carts being pushed up the ramp, that takes a lot of energy. Once it is released, all the energy is gone. So again, like I said, with the high amplitude, this hammer costs a lot of energy to build up to that point, and then once it is released, the amplitude will rise up again. Now that is much needed. So, lovely construction, still extremely flat, but nice one. Here you can see an orange peel skin. I think you know what I mean. Well, I'm Dutch, so my English is not that good. I don't speak it too well, but here the orange peel skin is because it's probably chemically polished. Quite common in that time. And I know Lange & Söhne still use it a lot. Chemically polishing. That simply eats away some material. So, there we go. And I think this watch is from the real early 80s. Ooh, nice. Nice, that's nice. Ooh. Here. Lovely spring. Curved around that bit there. So I really have to cover it before I remove it. There we go. Cover it there. Not leave any marks here on the movement if you try to grab it. Oh, there we are. And it's a quite high spring, so quite a bit of tension. Just to give a bit of context to the movement, inscription is from 81, so it is produced early 80s. That is in the middle of the quartz revolution. Jaeger LeCoultre, JG, were and are one of the highest levels in watchmaking, in mechanical watchmaking. Many decades of experience. And then, well, December 69, Psycho, Astral. Then mid 70s, Switzerland caught on. Yeah, 72, 73, 74. Omega jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody was convinced, and and they were right, that the quartz movement is still the perfect movement. No problems with anti-magnetic. You don't have to wind it. It is 100 times more accurate at least than any mechanical movement. Far more improvement, because it is quite stunning, the quartz movement. I tried to put in the video for quartz here. So this is an obsolete movement in a beautiful case at the time, because quartz was at that time so much more superior over mechanical movements. Quartz wasn't really mass produced at that time, just starting to come, early 80s, but a bit later it is mass produced, and that is because of the quartz oscillator. So I'll try to pick up that wheel, and because this is the sandwich wheel, I'll show you in between. There. Lovely stuff. And it's nice to see such high quality. Again, when it was just about beaten. Hey, now we can deduce, dear Watson, that this is where the cannon pinion is positioned. Here we see the notch. So the friction does come from the cannon pinion. So we have to adjust the notch, the indentation. And yeah. Well, we first have to clean it to have a better view. But I'm sure this movement will benefit from a proper revision. So now the movement itself. And here's some debris and stuff that doesn't belong in a watch movement. Cool. It is in need of a good clean. There you can see it as well. There. Still, on one hand, curious what happened there. On the other hand, don't want to see it. Well, do that. The 3 screws of the Schwungmasse, the rotor of the automatic winding. There we are. Again, I don't do any work up front. I don't know, I'm not familiar with this movement whatsoever. So for me it's a discovery as well. And this is what I love. This is the insanity of watchmaking, that underneath the rotor, and that's why I'm touching it with the carbon tip tweezers, again not to make any scratches. You see the straight graining finishing. So that is, here you see the Côte de Genève, Geneva stripes, 28 jewels, quite a bit. Just the finishing techniques. There is sunburst from the middle, and this is a small part. Côte de Genève, Geneva stripes. Here is the circular graining. See that? Nobody is going to see this because it doesn't have the see-through case back. And then underneath the part nobody sees, the side nobody will see. There is the straight graining, highly polished, not black polish but still highly polished, and there the circular graining as well. That is the insanity of watchmaking, which is beautiful. No need whatsoever, just, well, being proud or simply insane. Plan de campagne. First take out the balance wheel. This is the balance wheel, and that moves back and forth like the pendulum of a clock. And if the spring, the main spring, is okay and the lubrication is up to date, then, well, with the pendulum of a clock, it's moving in a bigger amplitude. And if the oil is old and the spring is gone, it's got a small amplitude. It's all in how a watch works. So that's how you know that when a watch needs some attention. Let me see the construction. It's an unusual big plate. Not just Glashütte, the 3/4 plate, but close. It is the incredibly small and efficient and thin automatic winding look at this, it's such an elegant solution for the problem. So there's the one spring, but again, this is watchmaking, there is always a but. This small plate houses the automatic winding module. So far so good, but if I loosen these screws, that one and that one, if you have a closer look, the escape wheel is there. The, well, we can call it center wheel even though it's not in the center, is there. There is the fourth wheel, secondenrad in Dutch. So if I loosen these two screws, 3/4 of the gear train will pop out. And this is the click for the automatic winding module, but there's probably another click for the ratchet wheel. That is definitely not that one. Now this click is released. Again, beautiful system. Just like the early 50s IWC automatic, the pulling, those levers you can move move one that way and that will keep the other in place. And again, that is genius. The peloton system, and this is, you can move it like that. It sounds insane, and maybe I am, but this construction is beautiful. That this bit is the actual working part of the click, that you can release it like this, is not only functional and reliable, which are two main things in watchmaking, but designed with, I think that is what I mean. It is designed with surface in mind. So the watch is serviceable. They know we're going to produce a watch. One of the best qualities of a produced watch movement is that it can be serviced anywhere in the world. Not just by the producer, but any skilled watchmaker can overhaul or revise or maintain a movement. And this is designed in a way that says, okay, we produced a watch, it is going to be maintained wherever, so we make sure that it's easy to operate and still elegant, flat, which is important in this movement, and reliable. It's really nice. Well, these two wheels are riveted again. You see that? And now I put the click like that. So now it's unwinding. But you see it's not continuously, and you can see it the best at here, the spokes. Going fast, going slow, they're slow, a bit faster. So there is old lubrication, and that means there is friction that has to be overcome before, well, this watch is unwound. Did you see it stop and start again? So I'm going to remove the balance wheel, and here is the beautiful there. Now this is the stud screw, and this is the accurate fine regulation. So with a simple screwdriver like that. Here underneath there is a thread for the timing pins for the compass. So very delicate, you can do the fine tuning. Cool. But with this part you release the bascule, but I'm not going to touch those screws until I remove the balance wheel and the pallet fork. It is designed by, maybe that's it, it's designed by watchmakers and not just fine mechanics. It's so well balanced, it is flat, it is, and the reliability. In a time where the mechanical watch movements were obsolete, out of date. Beautiful. It's old lubrication. First, I'm going to release the power in an alternative way because I'm not sure about the click here in the beautiful ratchet wheel. So I'm going to lock with an oiler the escape wheel. And again, this plate just secured by one screw. It is so economical. Then I reduce the cock in this instance. Then remove the pallet fork and then release the escape wheel. Probably there is no too much power left in the mainspring because I released this click, but better safe than sorry. And the screws are incredibly small, so there I'm going to lock the escape wheel. I don't have a, there we are. Oh, still power. Glad I did it this way. Well, moving freely. Unusual spokes. So now I can release those two screws because there's no power left in the mainspring. so it will not explode like a grenade. Check, check, triple check. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Wow. There is a lot of play here in the ratchet wheel. As far as I can see it, we have found the reason for the low amplitude. Let's have a closer look. Here you can see the small cut where the click is for this ratchet wheel. There's a cut, a recess, and the click is moving that way. But this is so excessive that I'm thinking maybe there is a ring missing that is keeping this ratchet wheel in place, because this is okay. We'll see what happens. Again, there is the escape wheel. Underneath here must be the fourth wheel, third wheel, center wheel, but there's still, that is for the automatic winding movement. So is this one, so is this one. So underneath here, this plate, there is a lot of action of the automatic winding as well. So it is a bit unusual that we have a split function of the bridges, because this is housing automatic winding movement or automatic winding module and part of the gear train, and the same here is part of the gear train and the main barrel, all housed under one plate. So usually, I know there are many exceptions, especially with Seiko and other parts, but usually the traditional way of designing a movement is that roughly, please leave your comments, that one bridge is housing one function group anyway. So this is interesting, and I'm wondering if I'm going to do this one first. Usually you, well, doesn't really, yeah, I'll try this one, even though there is not enough space over there. And what is this? Yeah. Again, that seemed like broken glass crystal. Where is it? Seemed like a tiny fragment, but there was something there. Well, intriguing movement already. Well, so there are the two screws from that particular module, sorry. See to pry it up. Yeah. Here. There we are. Again, is that the broken crystal? There is something there. Well, all parts will go through the cleaning machine. And it's strange, look at this, such a huge amount of lubrication. Of course, there shouldn't be any lubrication. Lovely stuff. Excessive lubrication and still a very low amplitude. That's the reason why we do the full disassembly. And even that we are able to remove this part from underneath here. There's a bit of a recess there, and so it fits. The design of the movement is genius. And still intrigued by this flat screws, and this is a curved screw head, and there's still a good chance that that screw has got a different function, especially because they are so close together, because they are holding this plate, so that one and that one, and I still presume that this screw has got a different function. Let's see what the end shake is about. That's too much. Well, if you just joined, my name is Kalle Slaap, watchmaker from the Netherlands, hence the accent. Pre-recorded session, because I'm at the Iron Maiden concert with my daughter. If they play Hallowed Be Thy Name, I'll be very hoarse when I come back to the workshop tomorrow. that is interesting that my daughter is 15 and a bass player and talented, and in yeah, it was early 80s. Number of the Beast, the album. Um, I love Number of the Beast, the album of Iron Maiden. But after that, I just was so. Well, I'm from '72, so I did like it. But I was so consumed with, well, as we call it now, classic rock, I think. Cream, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, of course, Rory Gallagher, a lot, that I missed the progression of Iron Maiden. And now I'm getting sucked in again by the enthusiasm of Anna. So she helps me discovering music from my era. It's so nice. I purposely didn't remove this screw because it was a different shape. You see? Yeah, you see? And again, I don't do any work up front, but this is just a bit of experience. There is a reason why that screw head has got a different shape. I love it when a plan comes together. And now I really would like a cigar. But yeah, I'm rediscovering Iron Maiden via my 15-year-old daughter. And it's lovely. And she's a huge Greta Van Fleet fan. And I am always trying to convince her that Greta Van Fleet is an excellent Led Zeppelin Led Zeppelin cover band with original material. Here was simply way too much play, so we have to clean it and see what. Not again hair. Hey, and again, is this crystal, or am I paranoid from the last Rolex we did? Well, we know for sure this shouldn't be there. It is so strange that, oh, here we see the abrasive. So there is way too much play in the main barrel. Don't you think it's peculiar that... Wait a minute, what is this? Okay, it's... Okay, we can breathe. The teeth is still there. Don't you think it's peculiar that we didn't see those fibers anywhere in the movement? And now we are at the main barrel. And we see such contamination and... Oh, this is just this setting lever spring being stuck, and I try to pry it up horribly to try to remove it. So unnecessary. And this spring is the whole construction is genius. Look at this, because it really is. Again, ultra flat movement, and they deconstructed the yoke and setting lever spring action, and this is genius. Look at this. This part is being screwed down, but there you can see a post, so that makes sure the screw won't be a pivot point, but the screw will retain it, and because there is this post or pin, it cannot move back and forth. So this is stationary, it cannot move, but here it's the spring action for it's retaining the setting lever in a very elegant way. Here there's the spring for the yoke, and here the yoke can only rotate because of the screw, and here with that pin, the centering pin and the screw, it cannot rotate. So this is stationary, this is moving back and forth via this spring. It is well made, it is really well made. And here we have the setting lever spring, because that is the setting lever, and it's completely deconstructed, because you can see this is all in one plane now. This is in one plane, and there's a recess over here, so this is a slightly bit lower, and that is reducing the height, so there is not a setting lever spring covering all this. This is genius. And again, this is under between the main plate you see here and the bridge. That is really well done. That is design, function, accuracy, reliability, and still trying to make a flat movement in an era that the quartz rules, and this is just a silly bit of antique. Really enjoying this movement. And even though the design is, well, genius, still, oh, this is the first time I do this movement, so no experience, but with looking, with reasoning, you can still fully revise this movement. This is an era when Swiss watchmaking was still meaning something. And then came Swatch, just around this time. It said Swiss made. It was quartz, so it was reliable, accurate, 100 times accurate than any mechanical watch. And it said Swiss made, via some loopholes, of course. And those, I know some of them are still running after 40, 50 years, but cannot be maintained. And this is built for generations. This was Swiss made, and even if you don't have a full workshop, and like the stream I did from working with $45 of tools, all from the grocery shop, from the drugstore, this is built to last lifetimes. So this is a real gift for inheritance and stuff like that. I'm impressed. Really hope you like the stream as well. We're going to clean all the watch parts, make sure the spring is okay, probably replace the mainspring. I really have to look in the play of the ratchet wheel. There was something going on. But still, I really enjoyed the design of this movement. So flat, so reliable, so maintainable. That is what a lot of brands miss at the moment. If you enjoyed the stream, please leave some comments. Again, sorry I couldn't be live with you on a Tuesday. We've been streaming over 6 years now. Started in 2016 and only missed just a few Tuesdays. Strangely enough, 2 weeks ago with the Blur concert with Anna, and tonight Iron Maiden. But I promise coming Tuesdays, 8:30 Central European Time, I will be there with you answering your questions. And to make it up for you, I'm going to be live the coming Thursday, so the day after tomorrow when you see this. And I think I have an intriguing watch. I think I'm going to do the Chrono Swiss Valjoux 7751. So that's the one with the large complications and lovely stuff. And probably a bit worn, so that will be entertaining to see, and for me such a joy when it runs perfectly again, spot on. All of you, thank you so much. Please, if you like the stream, hit the like button, leave comments, what you like, what you don't like, if you don't like my hairstyle, no matter what. Hey, see you soon. Hope you enjoy your evening. See ya. Bye bye.